Hi vintage bakers! Today I'm in the kitchen making Finnish Pulla.
This is a warm, soft, braided bread loaf with a slightly chewy, tender crust.
This bread is a beautiful and delicious traditional sweet bread loaf. It has the perfect amount of aromatic ground cardamom infused into the soft and pillowy braid. Top the loaf with pearl sugar, a dusting of powdered sugar, or even a soft glaze. If you've not heard of pulla before, it's a traditional Finnish bread made with an enriched brioche dough flavored with fragrant cardamom, which gives this bread its distinct flavor. It's often served for special occasions where the delicate sweetness makes it a special treat. The dough can be made into shapes like rolls, a long braided circular loaf, or a simple braided bread like I'm making here today.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make Finnish pulla.
To make the soft brioche dough in the bowl of a stand mixer with the dough hook attachment, or in a large bowl if you're making the recipe by hand, mix in 2½ cups of warm milk and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Stir this together and then sprinkle on top 2¼ teaspoons of dry active yeast. I'm going to set this aside for the yeast to soften and become foamy. Now to the bowl, stir in 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground cardamom, and 7 cups of all-purpose flour.
I use cardamom a lot in baking. It's pretty versatile and lends itself to most baked goods. It has a gentle, floral citrus aroma with a hint of sweet ginger.
I'm going to add my flour in 2 batches. The first half I'm going to stir in to make a smooth batter. Then knead in the second half of flour until you have a smooth, soft dough ball. This takes about 5 minutes in a stand mixer or 8 minutes if you're kneading the dough by hand. And finally, I'm going to knead in a 1/4 cup of softened butter. This is going to make my dough extra soft and rich. Now I'm going to set my dough aside, cover with a damp kitchen towel, and allow it to rise in a warm spot until doubled in bulk, or about 1 hour. Now that my dough has doubled, I'm going to split it in half. And here you can see after the first proof, the dough is soft, foamy, and has some little air bubbles inside. Then split each half into enough equal sections to make the braids. I'm going to make 2 loaves with my dough today. One is going to be a 3-strand braid and one is going to be a 4-strand braid. Don't let braiding the bread intimidate you. Just a simple 3-strand braid or even 2 strands of dough twisted together looks amazing. We're not working in a professional bakery here, just making a sweet and simple homemade loaf to share with family and friends. Roll each section into a long rope. Pinch them together at the top and braid. To make a seamless end, I like to roll one extra long and just fold it in half to make a smooth end of the bread. Pinch the dough together at the bottom to stop the braid from unraveling as it rises. For my second bread loaf, I'm going to do 2 simple twists on each side and then twist those together into a rope. This ends up looking pretty intricate, but is actually super simple.
So have fun with your braid and make up your own artisan-style loaf.
Now I'm going to place my braided bread loaves onto a lined baking sheet, cover and allow them to rise until they're about doubled in bulk, or about 45 minutes. And my bread loaves have nicely puffed up. Just before going into the oven, I'm going to crack an egg into a small bowl and beat it lightly to make a simple egg wash. I'm just brushing it gently so I don't knock out any of the volume inside of the bread. And my loaves are ready to go into my preheated 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius oven and bake for 35 to 45 minutes. Meanwhile, in a small bowl, I'm going to make a simple glaze that's going to make my bread extra delicious.
The glaze is going to give my bread that extra soft and tender crust while giving it an added boost of sweetness and flavor.
Mix 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar with 1 tablespoon of coffee and stir to dissolve. Traditionally, this bread is decorated with pearl sugar for an extra delicious sweet crunch. However, this was not available anywhere where I live, which is super disappointing.
I really want to make this bread as traditional as possible, so I'm going to try to make my own. I found this recipe online and it looks pretty simple.
But I have my doubts that it will truly be the same as pearl sugar. I'm just going to mix white sugar and water, heat it until it's a chunky, crumbly mixture, and then let it dry out. Now my loaves are deeply golden and sound hollow when tapped, so I'm going to remove them from the oven and brush on the glaze. And the moment of truth, it's time to decorate with the pearl sugar. It doesn't look quite the same, but I'll take it. And if you're like me and you can't find any pearl sugar where you live, you can use powdered sugar dusted on top instead. Now I'm going to return the loaves to the oven and bake for another 5 minutes. This is going to set the glaze and allow the sugar to adhere to the bread. Remove from the oven, cool slightly, slice, and serve. This bread is delicious and pillowy soft. The slightly chewy, tender crust is so flavorful from the rich coffee glaze and little crunchy bits of sugar that elevate it to a true treat. The cardamom adds the perfect bright citrusy spice to the braided bread loaf that will have everyone asking for more. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.